and welcome to Slam. Yeah, it's been a while. I feel like the only way I'm going to get to do these wrap-ups again, at least regularly, is if I go ahead and take on some of them by myself. I do still plan on eventually bringing Josh back into the proceedings as a co-host here on the show, but for now, I think the best course of action is to just talk about these shows myself, and I did get to see night one of WrestleMania last night. I was at work for some of it, but I did watch the whole show on Peacock, and surprisingly a good show considering last year's was not that great. I mean, night one was fine. Night two was disastrously bad, and I kind of feel like it's leaning that way this year too. So we start with a 2-hour pre-show with no matches on it, so I'm not even going to talk about it. But the first match of the show was actually the Usos defeating Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs to retain the SmackDown tag titles. And from what I understand, because Rick Boogs was injured during the match, so from what I understand, that actually Usos probably weren't supposed to retain. I think Shinsuke and Rick were supposed to pick up the win, but Rick tore his quad. So that sucks. That means he's going to be out for probably 7-8 months. And the upside of that is though that whenever Rick does come back, he's going to be over as fuck. So there's no doubt in my mind he's going to get a hero's return. And I'm sure he'll get a title push at some point as well when he comes back. But it's a shame, and it didn't even go 7 minutes. So like it's a shame that excuse me a second while I rearrange the microphone on my camera. It's a shame that Rick got injured. It's a shame Boogs got injured because I feel like this could have been a huge deal. This would have been Rick Boogs' very first championship in the company completely. Like he was even in NXT for a short spell and never won a title there. So this would have been his first championship. And it's a shame that he tore his quad. He didn't have to, obviously, but like. It's a shame that he tore his quad and it ended up like that. So it's unfortunate, but like the upside is he'll get a hell of a return out of it. So we're looking on the bright side of things. Other than that, match was fine. I mean, you can't really. The Usos are a great tag team, and I guess you can't really fault. You can't really fault Rick Boogs for what happened. It's a freak accident. Nobody was to blame. It could have been a better match, but I think the injury kind of hampered things. Then we move on to Drew McIntyre defeating Happy Corbin. So Drew's now the first man to kick out of End of Days. Kind of had a feeling that might happen, though, because everybody was. They've been talking about it a lot about how nobody's ever kicked out of End of Days. That's the most protected finisher in the history of WWE. Not anymore. Drew kicked out of it. That's going to start the downfall. Now everybody's going to start kicking out of that move. He's going to have to come up with something else. It was fine. I don't like Happy's character. I don't like Corbin's character at all. Madcap Moss's character I like even less. I can't wait to see these two split up. It looks like they're getting ready to because. I believe Madcap jumped on the apron at some point and distracted Corbin. So, hopefully they'll break up sooner or later. It was fine. Drew did a big over-the-top rope senton spot on both of them, which was pretty cool. And then after the match, he swung his sword at Madcap and cut both the top and middle ropes. So he was effectively trying to murder Madcap Moss. Did anybody else not catch that? He swung an actual sword, cut 2 ropes in half, almost cut a third in half. He could have actually legitimately killed Madcap Moss. We just witnessed an attempted murder. It's fine. Wrestling has attempted murders all the time. Right, Tommy Merriman? Up next, we had The Miz and Logan Paul defeating Rey and Dominic Mysterio. It was an interesting matchup. Logan and Paul, surprisingly impressive. I don't know if he's on the level of Bad Bunny, because Bad Bunny last year was amazing. But he's pretty good. I'm actually shocked at how well Logan Paul understands ring psychology. The way he was able to bait the audience when he was doing the Three Amigos, the way he was able to just kind of linger long enough for the audience to get really pissed off that he's stealing Eddie Guerrero's stuff, and the way he went up for that frog splash too. Logan Paul gets wrestling. And I know he's this YouTuber who has a lot of controversial pasts. Need we say the infamous Forrest video that got banned from, or that almost got him kicked off of YouTube. But honestly, I feel like Logan kind of redeemed himself a little bit here. It was actually a good match. And then they're setting up for Logan now to be a babyface against The Miz, which I don't understand. Logan's way better as a heel, so that doesn't make any sense to me. Honestly, I feel like, if anything, Miz should be the heel here, or Miz should be the face, and then Logan should continue to be the heel. So the Miz has because Miz is going to be around for longer. Logan's not going to be around that long. He might stick around to WrestleMania Backlash, but he's not going to be a full-time wrestler, so it makes more sense for Miz to become the babyface so that Logan has an out, because he'll still be the heel, and then Miz can get the ultimate win over Logan and knock him out of the company, and then he can turn heel again afterwards, and who cares? By the way, Miz shows how versatile he is. Miz always gets the good celebrity matches too. I don't understand. He had Bad Bunny last year, now Logan Paul this year. Somehow Miz always seems to draw the good end of the stick when it comes to celebrity matches at Mania. So, who knows? Becky and Bianca. Bianca Belair defeats Becky Lynch to become Raw Women's Champion. What a match, man. I knew about 5 minutes into this match that it was going to be one of the matches, and it probably, honestly, I kind of feel like this edged out Cody and Seth for rematch of the night, and I'll get there. But, oh my gosh, these two told a beautiful fucking story, and I cannot overstate just how fucking good this match was, and if you haven't seen it yet, you need to, because Bianca and Becky put on a hell of a performance. Just everything. Ring psychology, the near falls, the moves, Bianca breaking out the 450 from the middle rope, which she could have done from the top rope, let's be honest, but that's whatever. But holy shit, man. Great match. Highly recommend it. It's one of Bianca and Becky's best matches. Probably, it might be the best match from either women that I've ever seen. So that's saying a lot. And Bianca already now, with 2 WrestleMania appearances, has already proved herself to be kind of like Mrs. WrestleMania. So she had a really good match with Sasha last year. This one blew it out of the water. I'll be honest, this was better. And Sasha was no slouch when it comes to an in-ring performance. Her and Bianca last year kicked it out of the park. Her and Becky this year knocked it out of the goddamn planet. It's just that good. You have to watch it. Seth Rollins comes out for a mystery opponent after about 30 to 45 seconds of tedium. The pyro shoots off. The lights go out. And then suddenly, wrestling has more than one royal family. It's Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, doing his AEW gimmick, having his post-WWE music. Yes, I know I was going to say it's his AEW music, but I have been informed that it's not just his AEW music. He used it on the indies in between AEW and WWE, so it is his post-WWE music. But they allowed him to have it here. There's adrenaline in his soul, and my God, what a match. Again, I think Bianca Becky just barely edged this one out, but oh my God, what a return match for Cody Rhodes. These two absolutely killed it, and I cannot wait to see what happens. I pray that Cody Rhodes gets treated decently on this one. He did do a Stardust shout out early on in the match, but this match was actually closer to a typical Cody Rhodes AEW match than it was to a WWE style match. He got to work. This was Cody working Tyler Black. This was not Cody Rhodes working Seth Rollins. This was Tyler Black in there working him today. last night. So that's just how it is. Everything just, oh my God. And you couldn't have a better opponent for Cody on his return than Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is just on a roll right now, and I don't know that there's any stopping him. Like, Seth is on Roman's level at this point in terms of things. He just doesn't have a championship yet. So, you have to watch it. So, Cody's back, and hopefully he doesn't... And he shouted out his dad, too, at the end of the match, too, with the bionic elbow. So that was pretty cool. Great match. Absolutely fantastic match. Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. It started off all right. Charlotte retains, by the way, the SmackDown Women's title. Yeah. You know, I heard Ronda complaining I heard that Ronda was complaining all week about this match because it wasn't going on last. And considering what happened at the end of the night, I'd say it's a safe bet that there was no chance in hell Ronda was ever going on last. Even if this match had been a banger 5 out of 5, like, this would not have gone on last. I'm sorry. Just based on what happened after this, and we'll get there. But there's no way in hell Ronda goes on last. In any universe, this match does not go on last. It was fine. It had a big match feel up until near the finish, when Ronda hit Piper's Pit on Charlotte in the corner of the ring, and the ref, who, by the way, was Little Nate, so you think they'd play that up or something, but no, Ronda pins Charlotte 1, 2, 3, but Charlotte had her foot on the ropes at 2. Nate sees this, counts to 3 anyway, and then just immediately waves it off. Like, it's like, you saw the foot on the rope, why'd you count 3, you dumb shit? And then Charlotte's titty pops out. So that's a thing that happened. They cut to black at some point when her tit was out during a figure 8. But there was a point in the match where her whole titty, not just like a nip slip, like her whole fucking tit was out. Like, she was laying in the corner and her tit was just out. And the camera pans around the ring post and you just see it. Like, it's just like, wow, they forgot to cut the black there. Nice boobs, Charlotte. Like, seriously, that seems like the production truck wasn't paying attention on this night. But Charlotte goes for another figure 4 into a figure 8, and Ronda kicks her into a spear into the ref, which Nate sells like a pro, by the way, because, you know, Lil Nate has wrestled before. He has actually had a wrestling match before. If we all remember WCW 2000, I think it was Slamboree, as a matter of fact. Slamboree 2000, I want to say it was Lil Nate versus Medusa. And that is a match that legitimately happened. I think it was Slamboree 2000. Somebody will correct me on that. He has wrestled before. He knows how to bump. He's been in the ring with greats like Ric Flair and then also people like Medusa. So there's that. My notifications keep going off in the background, so I apologize for that. I'm actually filming this video right before getting dressed and going to work, so this video is probably not even going to air until after Night 2 is already aired, which I'll shoot another video for that. So this isn't even the last time I'll be talking about WrestleMania this week. And you'll probably get a vlog about the night after WrestleMania Raw, too, so there's that. But yeah, the spear into the ref sells it. Ronda gets the visual win with the tap out on Charlotte, but no referee to call the bell. Ronda wakes the ref. Charlotte boots Ronda in the face. 1, 2, 3. Charlotte escapes. Ronda no-sells the fucking boot and gets up, which she should be fucking put on main event for the rest of her goddamn career for. I hear a lot of shit from people about certain wrestlers, like, not selling. I think Adam Cole recently, like, no-selled a big move or a finish or something like that. I don't watch AEW as often as I probably should. So I'm not like up to snuff on that, but like I like Adam Cole knows Soda Big Move, and like I like Adam Cole, and if he did that, I think he should be punished for it. You don't, especially if it's against a champion, you don't just make the champion look like shit. That's bad. They're the champ. It doesn't matter if they're Charlotte Flair or Doudrop or anybody, even if it was like Nikki Ash, who had a really disastrous women's title run, you still make her look good. Like, she's the champion. She's representing an entire brand. You make her look good. That's just how it goes. Ronda did not make Charlotte look good. She made Charlotte look like a chump. And look like she got away with a fluke victory. Which, I mean, I guess it kind of was, but, like, at the same time, again, she's a champion. You don't no-sell that shit. If you go down to a big boot, you stay down. Fuck it. You know? Sell that shit. It was fine up until the finish. I can't say it was a bad match, but I cannot get behind that finish. I'm sorry. And there's no way in hell, even, like, if this match had main evented with that finish, I think people would have been pissed. That is not a way you want to end a show. So I think the show ended the right way with the KO show. Kevin Owens comes out. He has a very modest set tonight, and that's probably because it's going to get destroyed. Well, let's guess. I'll start over. Kevin Owens comes out in wrestling gear, like you do, for a talk show. Comes out, there's 2 chairs and 2 signs in the ring with easels, noting it's a KO show. So the ring is a lot less decorated here than it is normally, which leads me to believe, well, this shit's getting thrown out of the ring real quick, isn't it? They wanted to be sure that they could get everything out of the ring quickly. So Kevin Owens talks a minute, runs down Austin, runs down Dallas, and then Austin comes out. And he just gesticulates to the crowd a couple times, starts down the ramp, realizes, hey, that's a fucking 1.5 miles. I'm not walking that shit. He walks back to the back, gets his quad bike, and runs down to the ring, runs a couple circles around the ring, gets in the ring, does his poses, knocks down KO's signs. KO interrupts him, has him sit down. They talk for a minute. Steve Austin calls him an asshole. Says a couple things that would have gotten censored normally. And then Kevin Owens says, hey, I lured you here, I tricked you, I brought you here for a fight, I want a match, a no-holds-barred match. And I'm pretty sure, like, most of America, most of the world was just sitting there going, are we actually going to get a Stone Cold Steve Austin match in 2022? Like, are you actually, like, for shitting me? Are you for fucking true on this one? We're going to get a Stone Cold match in 2022, 19 years after he wrestled his last match. So Austin goes, I had my first match in Dallas. I could have my last match in Dallas. And then word for word, if you want to see me have a match with this sack of shit, give me a hell yeah. He calls the ref down to the ring. The bell rings. We're having a fucking match. Austin and Owens are having a match. It's surreal. And Austin stomps the mud holes. Kevin Owens gets out a fucking table at some point. Gets thrown through a table. I'm like, you have a table in my Steve Austin match? Austin takes a suplex on the fucking concrete in the audience area. What the fuck? Like, the first thing I thought of when I saw him take that suplex was like, oh my god, his neck. It's like, Austin's dead. This was surprisingly good. It was ridiculous, but it was good. It was a good kind of ridiculous. It's a no-holds-barred match, so it's exactly the type of match that Austin was known for in his later years, where he would start like with the punches and the mud hole stomping, and his opponent would escape, or he'd throw his opponent outside the ring. They'd run around the ring, up the ramp. I remember a bunch of brawls he had with like Triple H, where he would actively just beat Hunter's ass all the way up the ramp, use the staging area. He would constantly like throw his opponents into into the grates and stuff next to the staging area. He used the stage as a prop. Same thing here. They went on the audience. Austin took that suplex. I was like, holy shit. They got on the quad bike and ran the quad bike up to the top of the stage so that Owens could take 2 suplexes on the stage, which sounded like it fucking hurt. Because that was a metal stage with no give. And that it sounded like it hurt. So I'm sure it probably did. Austin bounces Owens down the ramp. So Austin ends up walking down the ramp anyway. Defeating the purpose of the quad bike. Owens actually stuns him, believe it or not. Owens gave a stunner to Steve Austin and nearly won the match. And then he gets a chair, bounces it off the top rope, missing Austin, and it bounces back into his own head. While Owens is stunned, Austin hits him with the stunner, and that's it. Austin defeats Austin defeats Kevin Owens, rather, in a no-holds-barred match in 2022, 19 years after Austin wrestled what was thought to be his final match against The Rock. I watched Stone Cold Steve Austin have a near 15-minute no-holds-barred match with Kevin Owens in 2022, and it was actually fun. It was actually a pretty good match considering Austin's physical limitations. He's 57 years old. He should not be taking suplexes on fucking concrete. Oh my god. How do you do that and still walk away at 57? That's crazy. But I loved it. Obviously, it was for nostalgia. It wasn't going to be a technical classic. There was no way it was going to be a technical classic. For what it was supposed to be, and the fact that it was an unadvertised match happening last, it was great. Like, there was no way it wasn't going to be great. It was so much fun to watch. And that's how you finish the night. I mean, there's no other thing that could have gone on last. For as much bitching as Ronda made about her match not going on last, she did not have the clout to main event this show over fucking Steve Austin. You're not main eventing a show over Stone Cold Steve fucking Austin. You're not. It's just not happening. Night 1 of WrestleMania gets a 9 out of 10 because it's amazing. There's a couple of hiccups early on, but from match like 3 onward, everything's just started gelling, and I'm so glad I tuned in because this was way, way worth. It's probably, if this was the only night of WrestleMania, this would have been one of the best WrestleManias I've ever watched, and probably one of the best WrestleManias that has ever happened. However, I can't say that yet because we still have Sunday night to get through, and I'm going to briefly talk about it. So there was a match that was supposed to happen WrestleMania Saturday night last night and got cut for time. It will be on Sunday's tonight's card. Tonight is WrestleMania Sunday as I'm filming this. Obviously, this is not going to air on WrestleMania Sunday. This is going to probably air much later. New Day, which is Xavier Woods and Kofi, are taking on Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Butch at ringside. Xavier Woods lovingly referred to the three as Butch, Botch, and Bitch, which was funny. I love Xavier. It got cut for time. Honestly, it's fine that it got cut for time because there was already a mediocre tag match on WrestleMania Saturday card. It wasn't mediocre because the people in it were talentless. The Usos, Shinsuke, and surprisingly Rick Boogs all have enormous amounts of talent. It's just that Boogs' injury fucked that match up, which is nobody's fault. You can't predict that kind of thing happening. But New Day and Sheamus and Ridge Holland should all work admirably together. I don't see it being a classic. It'll probably be fine. Yeah. Then you got a fatal 4-way tag match for the women's tag titles. Zelina and Carmella are defending against Sasha and Naomi, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, and Natalya Shayna Baszler. This is going to be clusterfuck. I don't see this being a good match. It's just going to be a clusterfuck with spot after spot after spot. There's 8 women in here trying to get all their shit in. I believe this is the only women's match on the entire card this night. So they're they'll probably get 15, 20 minutes, but it's going to be impossible for them for everybody to get all their shit in. There's just so many women in this match, and so many of them should be doing so much better. Like, Sasha should be in a much better position. Naomi should be in a much better position. Fucking Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan should be in a much better position. And as much shit as people give Natalya, I think Natalya is being misused here, which is saying a lot. I don't see this being anything other than a clusterfuck. Anything goes match. Johnny Knoxville takes on Sami Zayn. I will tell you this. It's anything goes so that they can like brawl over the arena. It's going to be similar to the Steve Austin Kevin Owens match from WrestleMania last night. Because Johnny Knoxville is not a wrestler. He is a stuntman. He's definitely a stuntman, and he will put his body through some hell. So I think Johnny Knoxville understands enough of the business to understand how to work a match. And I think Knoxville might actually win the match, considering that they took the Intercontinental title off of Sami Zayn a few weeks ago, because it was originally for the Intercontinental title. I keep saying International title. I'm stuck in XCW. I'm not stuck there, but you get what I'm saying. My mind is stuck in XCW. But it was originally for the Intercontinental title, and I almost said it again. But they took the title off of Sammy and put it on Ricochet, who, by the way, is not even defending his fucking title on this show. So 2 nights of WrestleMania couldn't fit in an Intercontinental title match. So fuck it, you know. But it'll probably be all right. I mean, Sammy's a great worker. He could probably get a 5-star match out of a broom if he really wanted. So he'll be fine. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. I was sold on Pat McAfee when he had his Adam Cole match in NXT TakeOver. Was it 30? I think it was 30. Yeah. So I was sold on Pat as a wrestler then. I think Austin Theory is actually a good wrestler. He has a lame gimmick. He's got basically Tyler Breeze's old gimmick. But I actually think Austin Theory is a damn good wrestler. And I think him and Pat will put on a fairly admirable match here. I think there's a reason that like Austin Theory, that Vince McMahon is so fucking high on Austin Theory right now. And he is an extraordinary talent. And I think he and Pat will have a great match. Will it be a barn burner? I don't know. Will it be a classic? Maybe. I doubt it. But it'll at least be good. Or it should be. I don't know. Triple threat tag match for the Raw tag titles. RK Bro, Street Profits, and Alpha Academy. I don't see RK Bro walking out with the titles here just because the Usos retained last night. So I think they might change it up and have maybe the Street Profits will finally win this one. I don't see Alpha Academy getting the titles back. I think they're just here to fill out a quota and to get Chad notice on the show. But I think this might be the Street Profits' time. So they might win the match here and win the titles. Oh, and just as a note, they're promoting, to go back a couple matches since I didn't pick a winner for the Fatal 4-Way, Sasha and Naomi are I think, a shoo-in at this point. I would love Rhea and Liv to win, but I think Sasha and Naomi are who's going to win because they've been promoting the hell out of them. They ran a Sasha Banks vignette last night. She wasn't even on the card last night. Just her. It wasn't even Naomi. It was just her. So the way things are going, I think Sasha and Naomi are going to win the titles there. Edge versus AJ Styles. I don't like Edge's heel run here. He's been a good heel in the past. He's a damn good heel. He is not a good heel in here. I don't understand how somebody who was a great heel for so long ends up being that terrible heel here. I don't get it. But I think Edge will win this one. He's been on a losing streak lately, so I think Edge will win this one. Great opponent, though. This will be a good match. There will be no doubt about that. Edge and AJ Styles will both have some fucking amazing match. So, it should be good. Bobby Lashley set to take on Omos. I really hope Bobby Lashley can work an entire match by himself because Omos is going to need carried. Bobby Lashley is going to hurt his back carrying that big boy to a good match. I have faith in Bobby's abilities, but I just don't think he's got a good opponent here. He's going to be a wet sack, and it's just not. I don't think this is going to be good. Bobby's probably going to win it. I don't see Omos beating Bobby Lashley. Come on. But I don't think it's going to be good. And then the main event, the one that all the hype is behind, winner takes all, unification, WWE title, WWE Universal title, Lesnar reigns. They've had some good. They actually, the 31, I think they had a really good match that nobody was expecting it to be that good, and then Seth Rollins came in and won the title, and it made it an amazing match. They're capable of having a great match, and I think the dynamic on this one has changed enough to where it's actually interesting. I will probably be watching this with bated breath. I think Roman's winning this one. If I had to pick, I would think Roman is winning this one. Roman's going to beat Brock, unify the Universal into the WWE title. They'll reintroduce a World Heavyweight Championship on Raw tomorrow night, or Monday night. Yeah, tomorrow night at the time of this filming. So that there can be two titles. Because I've heard that they're getting rid of the brand split, but I don't know if for sure they're doing that. It's a rumor at the moment. But I think Roman's winning this one just to unify the titles, to make his reign even longer. And then, he's already they're posing him to be Hulk Hogan at this point. Roman is Hulk Hogan at this point. I don't recall anybody holding the title in the recent memory as long as him. I think CM Punk was it. And I think he's already broken CM Punk's longevity record as champion. So the only thing next is to top Hulk Hogan. And Hogan held that belt for 3 or 4 years. Surprisingly, Roman's already almost halfway there. Crazy to think about. So that's it for WrestleMania Night 1. Actually, a really good show. I look forward to tonight. I don't think tonight's going to be as good as Night 1. I really don't. I don't think they're going to top Cody Rhodes returning, Steve Austin wrestling a fucking match in 2022. I don't think they're going to top it. I just don't. And then 2 Match of the Year candidates in Rhodes, Rollins, and Belair and Lynch. They're just not going to top Night 1. It's not going to happen. But the best they can do is equal it. So hopefully we'll see. There's a couple of celebrity matches here tonight. We had one last night, but tonight we have another one. 2 of them actually. Although Pat McAfee being called a celebrity is kind of a stretch. He's actively on the payroll in WWE, so he's really on the roster anyway. But Johnny Knoxville, definitely a celebrity match. It could be good. We'll see. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. There'll be a video for night 2, obviously. So see you then. And night 2 is in the books. Welcome back to Slam. I actually don't know if I'm going to put this in one video or if I'm just going to do this separately anyway. It makes more sense, I guess, to edit it together in one video, but I don't know. I'll decide what to do. You'll find out what I did as soon as these videos or this video goes up. Who knows? So last night, when I recorded the Night 1 wrap-up, I mentioned that I don't think Night 2 is going to be as good as Night 1. I was wrong. And I'm so happy that I'm wrong because, oh man. So I'm going to go through it. Let's go through it together. It starts with the triple threat tag team match for the Raw tag titles. RK Bro defeated the Street Profits and Alpha Academy. Now, I seriously thought it was actually Street Profits time, but I'm actually beyond okay with RK Bro retaining. I loved the RKO spot, springboard RKO spot Riddle did near the end of the match to Montez Ford. That was sick. The whole match was sick. These 3 teams really worked well together. So I'm very, very, very glad that this match went the way it did. I like RK Bro winning. I think, like I said, I thought it was Street Profits time, but it's fine that RK Bro continues with the titles. There's still left a lot of gas left in that tank, so we'll have to see where it goes from here. Bobby Lashley defeated Omos by pinfall. A very, very short match. It was good for what it was for. It was basically to get Bobby over as a powerhouse, which I don't know that we really need to. The man has F5'd Big Show. So, did we really need to establish Bobby as a powerhouse again? But to be fair, the right guy went over. Omos is still pretty green, so glad to see the right guy go over on this one. Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. I actually, last night, thought this one was going to be a clusterfuck, and as it turned out, no. It was actually a really good match. It's a shame the tag titles don't really mean a whole lot, the women's tag titles. But Sasha Banks finally gets her win at WrestleMania, breaking her losing streak, and Naomi and her win the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Again, I thought it was Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan's time, but I also did say that they were promoting the hell out of Sasha Banks and Naomi, so I was pretty sure they were going to win the titles anyway, so they did. So, I mean, you can't hardly fault that. Edge over AJ Styles by pinfall. I would probably say this was match of the night. There was no way these two weren't going to deliver. Now, the shock comes at the end of the match, when Damian Priest appears out of nowhere to distract AJ for just a second, just long enough for Edge to hit a spear and win the match. So I had heard news about Edge getting a stable, and it looks like Damian Priest is going to be his first stable member. I'm thinking New Brood. I think it could work. It could really work. Who else would be in that thing, though? Like, who else is there on the roster that would fit the bill? I guess we'll have to see as time goes on. We could have a brand new Edge and Christian style tag team. Damian Priest and whoever he teams with. That'd be nice. So, then we have the match that got cut from last night, and I'm sure it probably would have gotten more time last night. It literally got 100 seconds tonight. I shit you not. In a minute 40, Sheamus and Ridge Holland defeated Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston in a nothing match. Xavier and Kofi had matching gear inspired by Big E, so they were both wearing the singlet like Big E wears, which was a nice touch. But man, did they do fuck all in this match. I'm sad that Xavier and Kofi got treated like that. Now, Butch, even with the weird name, which I'm starting to actually, it's starting to grow on me, but he was the highlight of this whole thing. He really is trying to put this over, and he is really trying to put over the brawling gimmick thing. Like, oh man, he was into it tonight. I'm wondering where this will go from here, but I don't know. Where do you go from a 100-second tag team match? I don't know either. And then Pat McAfee over Austin Theory. I had a feeling Pat was going to go over. I mean, come on. Celebrities go over. Even though Pat's technically not really... He's a celebrity, yes, but he works for WWE. So, celebrity, we're using it in the loosest sense. I missed a match, I think, here at some point. I did miss a match. I'll have to go back and get that in just a second. I was just thinking about that. I was like, a celebrity match? Wait a minute, I missed one. But yeah, Pat McAfee defeated Austin Theory. It was good. Pat knows how to work a crowd, knows how to work a match, knows how to work his opponent, and honestly, if all said and done, if he wasn't a commentator, he could be a great full-time wrestler. I think Pat really kind of established himself as a great full-time wrestler. And then, after Pat McAfee wins, he calls out Vince, who was out there the whole time because he's Austin Theory is his protege. So he calls out Vince. Vince takes off the tie, takes off the suit, takes off the top, and he's got the black vest underneath, and he's jacked, even though he's like 86 years old. And He gets in the ring. The ref gets in the ring. Austin blindsides McAfee, and the bell rings, and we have a Mr. McMahon match at WrestleMania, and Mr. McMahon actually beat Pat McAfee in 3.5 minutes. As shocked as we were last night that we got a Stone Cold Steve Austin match, that was telegraphed somewhat by the fact that, you know, he was advertised for the show. There was no way we were getting out of it. I mean, the cats are playing with stuff off screen. Sorry about that. But there was no way, like, there was going to be some sort of altercation between Owens and Austin. Now, it being a full-blown match, nobody expected that. Like, a 15-minute, no-holds-barred, just straight-up match between Austin and Owens, nobody expected that. But I think even less people expected a Mr. McMahon fucking match in 2022. The man is 86. If I'm not mistaken, I think his last match was against CM Punk in like 2012 or 13. Like, the man has not wrestled a match in almost 10 years. And he still looks jacked as fuck. I wouldn't mess with him, and he's 86 years old. He's my great-grandfather. And then, of course, McMahon wins. Austin Theory and McMahon celebrate. Stone Cold music hits. Which is amazing. This whole night has been just like, wow, crazy. And then Austin comes out, just Pearl Harbors Austin Theory, Stone Cold Stunner to Theory, and Theory sells it like I think the sell that Austin Theory gave for the Stunner would make The Rock jealous. I honestly think Austin Theory sold the Stunner better than almost everybody else I've ever seen sell the Stunner, which is craziness. He bumped it, and he was floating in the air doing all this stuff and landing on the ground, and it was great. But yeah, that rivaled a Rock sell of the Stunner, and in terms of just over the top, and it was perfect. And then Austin shares a beer in the ring with Vince. Vince gets stunned. Now, not conventionally. He does the kick, like he kicks him, like he does at the start of every Stunner, and Vince bollocks sits up, and he falls under the ropes, so Austin has to recover for him, 3/4 turn face lock, and then sits out for the Stunner. And honestly, it was hilarious. So I think one of Vince McMahon's things he always says about live television is that if you screw up live, guess what? You meant to do that. So honestly, it's like, you know what? He meant to do that. That was supposed to happen like that. Good on you. And then Austin celebrates, has a couple beers with Pat McAfee, who's back up at this point, gets in the ring, kick wham Stunner. And Pat McAfee sold it beautifully too. Not as good as Austin, but he sold it real good. He even did the spit sell with his mouth full of beer. So, what do you want? I mean, that was peak WrestleMania right there. I can't complain. Alright, now I need to go backwards a little bit and cover the other celebrity match because I fucked up and missed it. Anything goes. Johnny Knoxville beating Sami Zayn, which I called Johnny Knoxville would probably win. This was so much fun to watch. It's not a standard wrestling match by any means. There's very few like actual wrestling moves in this match. It's mostly just the props for this match getting wackier and wackier and wackier by the minute. So it starts with a regular table, which Johnny Knoxville takes a fucking exploder suplex to a table. Big balls you got there, Johnny Knoxville. I salute you for having big balls to take that kind of spot. Then there's a table with mouse traps on it on the outside, and I'm flashing back to XCW and Fletch and DJ Wolbert's Mousetrap Tables match. That's an inside reference for those of you watching XCW, so linger longer. And then there's this contraption that's like it's a spring-loaded like metal thing, and it's got a lever and it's got a leg on it with a boot on the end of it, and Johnny Knoxville uses it to kick Sammy in the nuts, and it's fucking ridiculous, and I loved it. Sammy goes to the top rope at some point. Johnny's laying on the ground. Knoxville puts his arm straight up in the air. He's got this little fucking ignition switch. He hits it, and the pyro shoots out of the ring post behind Sammy and burns him, knocks him off the ring post. He lands in seated position against a turnbuckle. Johnny goes to a bag and pulls out a bowling ball, and I already know where this is going because I've seen this spot before because Al Snow fucking did it in 1998 to Hardcore Holly, and it was just as funny then as it is when Johnny Knoxville did it to Sami Zayn, and it was great. And then Sami goes through the mousetrap table, and oh my god, I can't imagine how that feels. The other Jackass guys get involved at some point. Chris Pontius gets involved and does his party boy shtick where he tears off his clothes and he's just there in a Speedo grinding on Sami. Sami kicks his ass. Wee Man comes out from under the ring and just starts beating the ever-loving crap out of Sami Zayn. And everybody in that arena fucking popped for Wee Man. Wee Man is apparently extremely over in Dallas, Texas. But yeah, he beat the shit out of him. And then motherfucker goes in the ring and body slams Sami Zayn. I can't imagine that it hurt Sami Zayn. He fell from 2 feet. But it was still impressive for Wee Man to actually pick up a man 3 times his size and body slam. It was great. And then the end spot, and then they had the high five gimmick out there from the second movie where Sami walks into a big giant high five on a spring load. Which is great. It was a nice callback to the Jackass movies. The final spot of the match, and it's so ridiculous that I'm even saying this. Knoxville produces a giant mousetrap, like it's built like a mousetrap, but it's the size of a fucking table. And it's crazy to think that somebody actually went through and built this thing. And it almost misfires. Because when Johnny goes to... When Sammy's laying on it and Johnny goes to pull it to unload the spring that it's attached to, a lot of spring-loaded props, it misfires. So Johnny has to manually kick it, and it still does the job. It smacks right onto Sammy. Johnny wins the match. Very highly entertaining. How did we manage to get 3 really good celebrity matches at Mania? I don't understand. I don't know. Winner take all. Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar, which is the result it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. I mean, there's no other result I would have... Brock Lesnar did not need to win this match. Brock Lesnar did exactly what he was supposed to do here and put over Roman Reigns, which is the right result. I can't stress enough how much this was the right result. The match itself, kind of, compared to the rest of the night, kind of meh. It was finisher after finisher. And there was a botch spot where Roman tried to do a spear from behind. It speared him in the back, and it kind of looked weird. But outside of that, it was an underwhelming match. But the job got done. Roman Reigns is now your WWE and Universal Undisputed Champion of the world. What a show. I'm giving Night 2 a 9 out of 10, as I gave Night 1 a 9 out of 10. And combining Night 1 and Night 2, I have to give the show a 10 out of 10, even though, yeah, there was a couple blips, but when you put both nights together, there's not enough bad to outweigh the good, and the good is very good. This might be one of the all-time greatest WrestleManias that I have ever watched. This might be like the best WrestleMania since, I want to say the Mania where Rollins cashed in, Mania 31, which we covered on this show, so... That was crazy. There was so much that went on at WrestleMania that was not expected, and that's the point. You want those kind of good surprises, and none of them. There was you had your celebrity involvement, and yes, that was good, and it was actually surprisingly good in this case. But the real surprises came from actual wrestlers that you actually effing remember, like Austin. And even Mr. McMahon getting in the ring and actually doing a match for the first time in probably 10 years. That is the kind of thing that makes WrestleMania. You cannot do a WrestleMania and it be half-assed like that and have very little celebrity involvement and no real notable people like returns or anything like that. Like WrestleMania 12 was fine if it wasn't called WrestleMania. That's the one with Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow. That would have been fine had it not been called WrestleMania. Like, if that was a regular in-your-house pay-per-view and Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow main evented it, I mean, people would have remembered the LT Bigelow match because, quite frankly, for what it was actually not bad of a match. A lot of people go back and shit on Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow's match from Mania 12, but honestly, it's one of the better celebrity matches. But all three of the ones tonight blew that one out of the water. All three of the ones this weekend, I should say, blew that one out of the water. And then Bad Bunny's last year blew all of them out of the water. So it's neither here nor there. This cat, would you mind? I'm recording. Thank you. Sorry, cat's back here digging into stuff. I'm actually recording in the garage today because it was actually kind of nice out tonight, and I decided I didn't want to awake everybody in the upstairs because my room is directly below some other people's room who's sleeping, and there's nobody in the room above me here, so figured this was a better place to do it tonight because I wanted to get my thoughts fresh from my brain to the camera, and I didn't want to wait until tomorrow to get it recorded. So, but yeah, I think this is one of the best WrestleManias in a long, long time. Probably one of the best, probably the best WrestleMania this decade, for sure. Best one since 2014. And honestly, like, I don't think it could have gone any better than it did. A lot of people, there was only a few missteps. The main event, the winner-take-all main event, was kind of a misstep. Boogs getting injured last night was a misstep. The tag match, the New Day, Sheamus, Ridge Holland match tonight was a misstep. Outside of that, really, like, the action was good. Maybe not everybody was booked right, but like, I still think, and I still believe a lot of the women in that Fatal 4-Way tag match for the tag titles were severely misused. Like, Sasha Banks is being misused there. Natalya's misused. She's been there for 16, 17 years now. She's still not being used correctly. When's the last time Natalya's ever even been in a title picture, period? Like, she's in and out of some title pictures. Like, fucking Tamina's in a bigger title picture than Natalya is right now, and she's chasing the 24/7 belt, which, by the way, funny enough, I don't think we saw any 24/7 bits on either night of WrestleMania, so that's crazy. We might see something tomorrow night at Raw, which I do plan on doing a vlog for because it's Raw after Mania. I mean, you got to do one. I got to do a wrap-up for it, so... and I might even do one for SmackDown if I have time, but really might not have time for that one because I actually have an XCW show the next day that I have to go to, so probably won't have time for that, but I'll at least do Raw tomorrow night. Overall, I think that was a fantastic showing. I am probably going to put these together into one video and just kind of do some creative editing, so thank you guys for joining me for this nostalgia trip down memory lane. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, Slam is back, and I'm going to try to do this on a regular basis, even if it means doing this shit by myself. I wasn't sure I could get, like, usable video out of just me talking, but, I mean, hell, this episode's almost an hour long, and it's just me, so good stuff. Alright, well, thanks for joining us, and I'll see you for Raw After Mania. Good night.